2 clips first. Then I'm gonna get to the main course, and then we shall switch over and show you the rest of the deal.
Y'all done pissed us off now. Y'all done pissed us off now. Any and everybody that know who this lady is right here, then you already know where I'm going with this video. This is Miss Lavina, okay? A beautiful soul from the Amish community. She's known for teaching us how to make good food with real ingredients, only a couple ingredients, the only ingredients that you really need, instead of all this poison and chemicals that we get from the store and overpriced, if you know what I mean. And you know what I'm saying? We all know what we're going through out here in the prices, the inflation, and all this poison and bullshit ass shit that we eating. But y'all gonna come at her for making some eye contact? She won't even look at us now. Like, look at the look on her face. This is what y'all do to a beautiful person, a beautiful soul out here. You shun a person, shame a person for making them feel bad, for being real, for being themselves, for being authentic. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong with her eye contact? That's talent right there. She could look down at the bowl the whole time and make a killer ass recipe, a killer ass dish, and not even have to look. That's pure raw talent right there. She ain't got to see what she doing, and she just know what she doing. That's how you know you a beast in the kitchen. But you got to make fun of her just because she's looking at you? What? Are you scared to get looked in the eye? What's wrong with looking somebody in the eye? That's because y'all are demons. Y'all are fucked up in the head. Y'all have a fucked up soul, and y'all can't take something real. Y'all can't look a true, real person that stands tall, stands faithful, stands holy in the face, because y'all are demons, and you know that, and you're fucked up for that. So my message to you, Miss Lavina, if you see this, keep doing what you do. Who cares what these people say? Keep bringing us them beautiful, delicious dishes with real ingredients, only a few ingredients, and keep that eye tag strong. Come back strong. Don't let these haters make you be something different, be anyone else but what you are here to be and who you are, because we love you and we appreciate every single minute, every single second of eye contact that you give us. We love you. Keep doing what you...
That's definitely an agenda of the Illuminati, because she's showing natural stuff, and they can look or think that they can know you and don't.
You people are demons. That sweet Amish lady hopped on this app, which I didn't even know they could do that. And she was teaching us how to make butter, how to make jelly with like 3 ingredients, how to make pie. And you told her that her eye contact made you uncomfortable? Y'all were making fun of her just because she was making eye contact with the camera? Y'all are some demons. And it looks like she saw your comments too, because I scrolled by a video of hers and she was looking straight down, did not look into the camera once. She said, oh, me looking at you makes you uncomfortable? Okay, no eyes for you. Tell me how this feels. And I never thought that someone not looking at me could hurt so much. It hurt. Lavina has the sweetest, calmest, most innocent look in her eyes, and it actually makes sense why you demons would feel rebuked by her just by her looking at you. You guys are out here cussing and using profanity and fighting with each other and engaging in internet beef, and this poor lady is just teaching us how to cook for cheap. Do you know how expensive jelly can be? She made about 30 bucks worth of jelly using 3 ingredients for like $5 total, and even gave some away. But no, her eye contact is too much. The power of Christ compels you. You people are demons. That sweet Amish lady hopped on this app with...
Call them out as though they are. Because she wasn't talking about this.
Sources say they have removed several boxes of what is believed to be human remains. Sources say many people. This was a big operation. And get this, inside this business, a saw used to cut up bodies, it is believed, all taken away as evidence to the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office, where it will be tested.
Now you notice how the news was low, then the fucking music is like, like the type of commercials is louder than the damn movie. I really don't want nobody to pay attention to that. But your boy told you. Rabbi Finkenstein in New York? Yeah. Stuff in the Coca-Cola. Man, listen here, bruh. They don't like us. Don't like the children of the light, yo.
You won't believe what a Milwaukee man allegedly put into his co-worker's soda. 34-year-old Joseph Ross is now facing felony charges after he was caught on hidden camera putting super glue into his co-worker's soda can at the state fair grounds. The person, who we'll call JH, said she was feeling sick after she was drinking soda from her desk, so she set up a hidden camera and was shocked to find out what it recorded. At 9:52 a.m., Ross is seen wearing latex gloves, holding a tube of Gorilla Glue and putting it right into her can. When the police searched his office, they found gloves, a glue cap, and the glue itself. When questioned, Ross says it was a supplement, but glue is no supplement. The cocaine itself is now at the Wisconsin Crime Lab, and Ross is being held on a $10,000 bond. If convicted, he faces up to 3.5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Y'all be safe out there.
Yo, I tell you, man, we gotta be careful out here. Don't leave your stuff unwatched. None of that. Or don't be trusting folks.
First, she collected some of the poop and dead body water to use for the next day before finding her own source. Don't forget, this is between you and me. I'm only telling you because you sell in school. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shared it with you. I don't want anyone to compete with me. Stephanie bought the food and took it back to her class. She got to her class and started eating. Wow, this food is so delicious, she exclaimed. Hearing this, her classmates then started stretching out their hands, begging her to share some with them. She shared a bit, and immediately they loved it. This is so delicious, they said, rushing out of the classroom to buy more. Soon, the whole class came to buy Mama Jiro's food. Royal Grace Girls High School is a big school. It was a boarding school with girls only. There was a woman named Mama Jiro. She had a nickname given by the students, Mama Put. Everyone knew her by that name. Mama Jiro was the only one allowed to sell food inside the school. Every day, she would sit under the mango tree, arranging hot pots of rice, beans, soup, and fried plantains she had prepared from home to sell in the school. But most students never buy her food. They preferred their snacks, crunchy biscuits, sugary sweets, which they bought from the school tuck shop. Mama Jiro wondered why students never buy her food. It was like every other regular roadside food. Mama Jiro sat quietly every day, waiting patiently under the mango tree. Her eyes watched as the students passed, going to the school shop. Only a few students ever stopped by, and when they did, it was only out of hunger too strong to ignore. They would buy very little and wait for the school dinner bell to ring. Mama Jiro secretly warmed the remaining lots of food to sell the next day. The students did not still buy it. She would have to throw it away as it starts to spoil. Mama Jiro was becoming desperate. Every day, she watched the students pass by her food without a second glance. She needed to find a way to make them stop, to make them buy her food. The idea kept her up at night, and one day, she decided to seek help. One cool evening by 6 p.m., Mama Jiro walked down her street to visit a popular food seller, known by everyone for her delicious meals. People always crowded around this woman's stall, eagerly eating and chatting. Her food was in such high demand that it was never enough. People would sit and wait just to have a taste. When Mama Jiro reached the stall, she greeted the food seller and explained her problem. "The students at the school do not buy my food," she said, her voice filled with worry. "They pass by every day and go for snacks instead. How do you make your food so that everyone wants to eat it?" Mama Uka listened to Mama Jiro. At first, she looked normal, but then her face became serious. She leaned in close and looked around to see if anyone was watching. Then she spoke softly in Mama Jiro's ear. "This is not something we can talk about here," Mama Uka whispered. "Come to my house tonight at 10 p.m. We will talk then." Mama Jiro nodded. She felt nervous and curious. What secret was so important that it had to be discussed in private? As she walked back to the home, her mind was full of questions. She would have to wait until night to know the truth. When Mama Ejiro got home, she could not rest. Her mind was filled with thoughts about what Mama Uka wanted to tell her. She kept wondering. She found herself checking the clock again and again. At 9:50 p.m., Mama Ejiro got ready and left for Mama Yuka's house. She hoped to reach there by 10 p.m. When she arrived, Mama Uka looked at her seriously and asked, "Are you ready for this?" Mama Ejiro, feeling curious and nervous, replied, "I want the students to start rushing my food." "If I tell you the secret, you must not tell anyone," Mama Uka whispered. "Are you sure you are ready?" "I am ready to do whatever it takes so that those students will start buying my food," Mama Ejiro said firmly. Mama Uka led her to the backyard. There was a small kitchen there. The place smelled bad, like rotten things. There were dirty pots that contained poops and big drums of water. The smell made Mama Ejiro want to throw up. "This is my kitchen," Mama Uka said. "What?" Mama Ejiro exclaimed, covering her mouth and nose. "I thought your kitchen was the one at the front, near your stall." "That is the kitchen I let people see," Mama Uka replied. "So, what do you do here?" Mama Ejiro asked, feeling uneasy. "This is where I get all my secret ingredients for my food," Mama Uka said with a strange smile. "Your secret ingredients? How?" "I don't understand," Mama Ejiro said. Mama Uka continued, "You see those drums containing water? That is dead body water. I get it from the cemetery. And you see those pots of poop? Those are my major ingredients. Anytime I need to poop, I just do it there. There are preservatives inside, so it doesn't spoil. When I cook, I use the dead body water mixed with some spoons of poop, make some incantations as directed by the native doctor, and that's it, food is ready," she said with a slight smile. Mama Ejiro stood in a state of shock. Could she really do this to boost her own business? She thought hard. After much thinking, she agreed to start. First, she collected some of the poop and dead body water to use for the next day before finding her own source. "Don't forget, this is between you and me. I'm only telling you because you sell in school. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shared it with you. I don't want anyone to compete with me." Mama Uka told Ejiro the incantations. She thanked Mama Uka and left to pick the beans she would prepare to sell in school the next day. The following morning, Mama Ejiro followed Mama Yuka's directions carefully. She added just a little bit of poop to the food so it wouldn't smell out. Then, she used the dead body water from the cemetery to cook and made the required incantations. When she finished, she packed the food and carried it to the school. Mama Ejiro sat under the mango tree, waiting for break time. When the bell rang, signaling break, she waited anxiously. 5 minutes passed, and only one student came, a little JSS2 girl named Stephanie. Stephanie bought the food and took it back to her class. She got to her class and started eating. "Wow! This food is so delicious," she exclaimed. Hearing this, her classmates then started stretching out their hands, begging her to share some with them. She shared a bit, and immediately they loved it. "This is so delicious," they said, rushing out of the classroom to buy more. Soon, the whole class came to buy Mama Ejiro's food. Word spread quickly, and before long, everyone, even the teachers, wanted to eat her meal. 1 week later, more and more girls started visiting the school clinic. Students were getting sick. They would vomit and complain of stomach pains. Nobody suspected Mama Ejiro because she had been selling in a school for a long time. Parents became worried as their children often called home, saying they were sick. They blamed the school, saying it did not provide clean water for the students. Stephanie, the JSS2 girl who first bought Mama Ejiro's food, became so sick that she had to leave the school and get admitted to a hospital for treatment. The principal shouted at every worker in the school, ordering them to make sure they provided clean food and water for the students. Mama Ejiro soon realized she could not get enough poop on her own to cook all her meals. She had a new idea. There was an incomplete building where some students went to poop in secret. It was illegal to poop in the building, but the students wouldn't listen. They called it shot put, which means to illegal go and poop in a place that is not allowed. In the quiet evenings, Mama Ajiro would go there and carefully pack the poop into a cooler. Every day, more students went to the school clinic. They held their stomachs, crying in pain. Some vomited and others just lay on the clinic beds looking weak. The number of sick students kept growing, but Mama Ajiro didn't care. She was making so much money, her mind was only on her business. "Why is my child always complaining of stomach pain?" one parent asked. "What kind of food are you giving them?" another yelled. Mrs. Johnson decided to act. She called the school cooks to her office. They stood before her, shaking and looking afraid. Her face was red with anger as she shouted, "What are you people putting in the food? Do you want to destroy this school? Parents are blaming us for their children falling sick." The cooks began to beg. One of them, a woman named Anita, spoke with tears in her eyes. "Ma, please, don't fire us. I have 2 children I'm taking care of on my own. I'm a single mother. This is my only job. This is where I feed my family and pay their bills," she said, sobbing. Another cook added, "We didn't do anything wrong, Ma. We only cook what the school gives us." But Mrs. Johnson wasn't listening. She waved her hand and shouted, "Enough. You are all fired. Pack your things and leave this school today." Anita kept pleading, "Ma, please, think of my children." But Mrs. Johnson didn't care. She had already made up her mind. After firing the cooks, Mrs. Johnson gave a strict order. From now on, no student is allowed to call their parents about any problem. If we have a problem, we will settle it here in the school. Any teacher, staff, or guardian who lets a student call home will be punished. Do you understand? Everyone nodded in approval. Mama Ajiro, sitting under her mango tree, smiled quietly to herself. Her food was making her richer every day, and nobody even suspected her. New cooks were employed the next day to replace the ones who were fired. That morning, Mama Ajiro's daughter, Victoria, came to visit her at school. Victoria was a 200-level student in the university and had not seen her mother in a while. When Victoria arrived, she was surprised to see many students lining up under the mango tree, waiting to buy her mother's food. "Mama, look at all these people." "You're doing so well," Victoria said, smiling brightly. She felt proud of her mother. Mama Ajiro smiled back nervously. Just then, Victoria picked up one of the plates and served herself some food. As she raised the spoon to her mouth, Mama Ajiro quickly pushed her hand, making the food fall to the ground. "Oh, Mama, why did you do that?" Victoria asked, confused. "I'm sorry," Mama Ajiro said quickly. "It slipped. Please forgive me." "No problem, Mama," Victoria replied. She reached for another plate to serve herself again, but before she could eat, her mother leaned close to her and whispered in their language, "Don't eat this food." Victoria froze for a moment. She wanted to question her mother, but when Mama Ajiro gave her a sharp look, she immediately understood that she shouldn't say anything. Quietly, she put the plate down and stepped aside. Mama Ajiro returned to selling her food, smiling at the students standing in line as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, at the back of the line, 2 SS2 students, Cristobal and Favor, noticed the way Mama Ajiro had stopped her daughter from eating the food. They exchanged puzzled glances. "Did you see that?" Cristobal whispered to Favor. "Why wouldn't she let her own daughter eat the food?" "It's strange," Favor replied. "Do you think something is wrong with the food?" The 2 girls moved to a quiet corner and began to discuss what they had seen. "I think we need to find out what's going on," Favor said firmly. Cristobal nodded. "We should. Don't forget, one of our friends is still in the hospital. What if this has something to do with it?" The girls agreed to find out the secret behind Mama Ajiro's food. They left without buying again. Instead, they bought snacks. It was finally time for Mama Jiro to pack up and go home. She tied her bowls in a sack and prepared to leave the school premises. Christabel and Favor, who had been watching her, were ready to carry out their plan to expose her secret. "Let's follow her and see where she goes," Christabel whispered to Favor as they hid behind a wall, keeping a close eye on Mama Jiro. Quietly, they followed her from a safe distance. Mama Jiro didn't seem to notice them as she made her way toward the incomplete building. The girls peeked from behind a corner and watched as Mama Jiro entered the building. Christabel and Favor gasped when they saw her scoop poop from the ground into the cooler. "What is she doing?" Favor whispered, her face filled with disgust. "I don't know," Christabel replied, her voice shaky. "But whatever it is, we have to find out." Mama Jiro calmly covered the cooler, looked around to make sure no one was watching, and started walking toward the school gate. Christabel and Favor exchanged worried looks and followed her, trying to stay out of sight. When Mama Jiro reached the school gate, she stepped outside. The girls stopped in their tracks. "We can't go past the gate," Favor said, frowning. "The security won't let us out." "What do we do now?" Christabel asked, frustrated. They stood there, unsure of how to continue following Mama Jiro without getting caught. "How about we follow the fence?" Christabel suggested, her eyes determined. Favor's face showed immediate shock. "What if they catch us?" she asked nervously. "You know the consequences. I don't want to give my mom a heart attack. She's the only one I have." Christabel tried to convince her. "For the sake of our friend who has been suffering in the hospital for the past 3 weeks, let's just do this," she said firmly. "We'll be very careful. Nobody will see us." Favor hesitated, her mind racing with thoughts of what could happen if they were caught. But Christabel's determination made her reconsider. "All right," she finally said with a sigh, "but you better not get us into trouble." "Trust me," Christabel replied with a small smile. The two girls made their way to the back of their hostel where the fence stood. They changed their clothes so that they won't be easily noticed. It was a little high, but they weren't about to give up. They assisted each other. Together, they managed to get over the fence without making too much noise. Once on the other side, they crouched low, ready to continue. Mama Jiro had already gone far. Christabel and Favor hurried to close the distance, carefully staying hidden as they followed her. Mama Jiro went straight to her kitchen, carrying the cooler of poop. She dropped it near the back door before heading inside her house. "Let's go back to school now," Favor whispered, looking uneasy. "No," Christabel said firmly. "We have to stay until tomorrow." "What?" Favor gasped. "Where are we going to sleep? Are you not afraid?" Christabel took a deep breath. "We need to do this for our friend's sake," Christabel continued. "My parents always call me useless. They say I've never been recognized for anything good in school. This is my chance to prove them wrong." Favor's face softened. "I'm sorry, Christabel," she said. "But is that really why we should risk our lives? What if something bad happens to us?" "Nothing bad will happen," Christabel replied confidently. "We'll be fine." "Where will we sleep then?" Favor asked, looking around nervously. It was late, and the night had grown darker. They found a spot in a nearby store and decided to rest there until very early morning. They will see the way Mama Jiro prepares her food. Meanwhile, back in the school, the hostel mistress came to do the nightly bed check. She walked from hostel to hostel, ensuring that all students were present. When she reached Christabel and Favor's hostel, she noticed their empty beds. "Where are Christabel and Favor?" she asked the other girls in the hostel. The girls looked at each other, confused. "We don't know, Ma," they said, shaking their heads. After searching for some time, the hostel mistress frowned and wrote their names down on the blacklist. She suspected they had jumped the school fence and left the premises without permission. She planned to submit their names to the school authority in the morning. The girls would face serious punishment and their parents would be charged accordingly when they returned. Early in the morning, Christabel and Favor. They sat up quietly and saw Mama Jiro come out of her house. The air was cold. They quickly hid behind a corner. They peeked out carefully, trying not to make a sound. Mama Jiro walked straight to the cooler. She carried a small metal bowl in her hand. She opened the cooler, and a terrible smell came out. Christabel and Favor covered their noses, trying not to cough. "What is she doing?" Favor whispered. Christabel didn't answer. She took out the phone she had sneaked into school and started recording. Mama Jiro scooped some poop from the cooler into her bowl. She looked at it for a moment, then walked to a big drum of water nearby. She fetched some water with a container and poured it into the bowl. She mixed the poop and dead body water together slowly. Favor's eyes widened. "She's using that for cooking," she whispered. Christabel still didn't say anything. She was focused on recording everything. Mama Jiro carried the bowl to her cooking area. There were pots and firewood arranged there. She placed the bowl on the ground and began lighting the fire. Christabel zoomed in on her phone to make sure she captured every detail: the cooler, the drum, the bowl, and Mama Jiro mixing everything. She held her breath, scared that any noise might make Mama Jiro notice them. Favor and Christabel sneaked back into the school early in the morning after getting enough evidence. They moved carefully, trying not to be seen. When they got to their hostel, they were tired and wanted to clean up, but there was no time. The hostel mistress was already shouting, chasing students to the morning assembly. "Get up! Everyone, move to the assembly now," she yelled. Favor and Christabel quickly put on their uniforms without taking a bath. They grabbed their things and joined the line of students heading to the assembly ground, pretending like nothing had happened. As they hurried to the assembly, Favor whispered to Christabel, "How will you show the evidence?" "If you bring out your phone, they will seize it." Christabel frowned. "That's true. I can't let them seize my 13 Pro Max O," she replied, clutching her pocket where the phone was hidden. "We'll find another way. For now, let's just go to the assembly." They joined the line of students already standing on the assembly ground. The principal, Mrs. Johnson, stepped forward, her sharp eyes scanning the crowd. She began with the usual announcements, talking about upcoming school events and warning students to obey the rules. Favor and Christabel stood quietly in the middle of the crowd, trying to blend in. Everything seemed fine until Mrs. Johnson picked up a piece of paper. She cleared her throat, and the air around the assembly became tense. "Now, I have a list of students who broke the school rules last night," Mrs. Johnson said sternly. Favor and Christabel exchanged worried glances. They tried to look calm, but their hearts were racing. Mrs. Johnson's voice rang out across the assembly ground. While others were sleeping, these students jumped out of the school. She paused for effect. "When they come back with sickness now, they will start blaming the school." The next words froze them in place. "Christabel and Favor." Favor gasped and grabbed Christabel's arm. "Oh my God. What will I tell my mom?" she whispered, tears filling her eyes. Christabel was burning with fear inside her, but she forced herself to stay calm. The two girls stepped out of the line and walked to the front. The entire assembly was silent, with hundreds of eyes watching them. Favor's hands was shaking, while Christabel stared straight ahead, refusing to look at anyone. Mrs. Johnson stood tall, holding her long cane. She looked at the girls with disappointment. "You think you can break the rules and go free?" she said, her voice sharp. "This school has rules for a reason. Before I give you the bills for bags of cement and barbed wires to give your parents, you will have to cry." Christabel was trying to stay brave. Favor's tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "I'm finished. What will I tell my mom?" A familiar figure passed by in the distance. It was Mama Jiro, pushing her wheelbarrow filled with food to her usual spot under the mango tree. She seemed completely unaware of the drama unfolding on the assembly ground, humming softly as she walked. Favor stood trembling at the front of the assembly, tears streaming down her face. She could barely speak as the principal, Mrs. Johnson, raised her cane. "Please, Ma, I didn't mean to, Favor stammered, her voice shaking. Christabel clenched her fists. She didn't want to bring out the phone just yet. What if they seized it? What if they didn't believe her? But when she looked at Favor, crying so hard that her shoulders shook, something inside her changed. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the phone. Ma, wait! Christabel shouted, holding up the device. Mrs. Johnson paused, her sharp eyes narrowing at Christabel. What is that? A phone? You know phones are not allowed in this school. I know, Ma, Christabel said, her voice loud and steady. But I have proof. Proof that we didn't jump the fence just for fun. The assembly erupted in murmurs. Students whispered to one another, wondering what was happening. Christabel unlocked the phone with shaky hands and stepped forward. She showed the video to Mrs. Johnson, who watched in silence. The principal's eyes widened as she saw Mama Jiro scooping poop and mixing it with water. The camera captured every detail, her movements, her secret kitchen, and the horrifying preparation of her food. Mrs. Johnson was in shock, and her hands tightened around the cane. What is this? She whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. It's the truth, Ma, Christabel said firmly. That's what Mama Jiro uses to cook her food. Before Mrs. Johnson could respond, a commotion broke out. Mama Jiro, who had been standing nearby, saw the crowd turning toward her. She panicked and began sneaking away, pushing her wheelbarrow toward the gate. Stop her! Mrs. Johnson shouted. The school security guards sprang into action. The guards caught her before she reached the gate. Mama Jiro was dragged back to the assembly ground, her head hanging low. The students watched in stunned silence as Mrs. Johnson confronted her. Take us to your kitchen, she demanded. Reluctantly, Mama Jiro led them to the small, hidden kitchen behind her stall. The smell of rotting substances filled the air as the staff and security stepped inside. They saw the cooler of poop, the drum of dead body water from the cemetery, and the dirty pots. Gasps of shock and disgust filled the air. How could you do this? One teacher exclaimed, covering her nose. This is what the students have been eating, another staff member asked, horrified. They all returned back to the school. Mama...
Oh, they told me Keys. Oh, boy, you brought it back. I forgot about that video. Yeah. Thanks, bro. Out the sewer. How about that one where the Chinese was selling the African doo-doo water? And all in our prophetic Bible, it said, those that drink and eat the dung for food and drink. Oh, boy, that Bible ain't no
Jiro
joke.
was arrested. She didn't say a word, her eyes fixed on the ground. Mrs. Johnson turned to Christabel in favor. You have done something brave today, she said. You saved this school from a terrible sickness. Favor wiped her tears, finally smiling. Christabel stood tall, her heart swelling with pride. Mrs. Johnson continued, but this doesn't mean you can jump the fence again. And no phones are allowed in this school. Is that clear? Yes, Ma.
I bet you Ma was glad she broke that rule and had that goddamn phone. Hey, the principal gotta, hire back everybody she fired. Not listening. That's why you must know your kind, man. That's why I appreciate all of y'all. Daytoven, Angel Rolling, War Ready, Yashiala, Filthy Black, and many, many, many others. Melanie Lane Hart, Brandy Martin. It's a lot of y'all. A lot of women too. Be getting this, be sharing the hell out of the page. Be sharing like 8, 10 different times. Now I see Daytoven like 5 times. I'm like, this gotta be a group he's sending. They don't show me where. But see, ain't nobody coming up in here talking about something. Brother BC, they out here bugged out. I'm like, nah, nigga, you bugged out. And I know my people. You know what I'm saying? We just alike. All right, to talk about them is to talk about me, man. All right, so that's what's happening, Captain. You should see them. But if you're telling the truth, I just be silent, put it in the back of my head. But we don't have that problem where we jealous of each other and we got a lot of drama. We got rid of those type people. But the people that we have now, this is what we do. We fight for each other. We show. You see, I'm the one running my mouth with the Holy Spirit. They told me how to remind me. That's something that I did. I like, well, jumped out of the chair when I seen that comment. I forgot all about that. Right. Now I got some stuff, some collages to put together. Now I'm going to look for that video and put them all together. I'm saying little short snippets. Thanks for the inspiration, revelational idea, big bro, big Aki. Give me some ideas, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. So I ain't going to hold y'all no longer. All right, Baraka. And thank y'all for coming out. And everything you do, may Yahuwah return it 70,000 times fold with an overflow on top of that.